welcome. Welcome to Mending Threads. This is your safe place and your stronghold for whole body wellness. We're a transformational series. We're about health, wellness, mind, body, spirit. So we have for you today a show where we're going to talk about repurposing. It's really finding your purpose and what to do with it, repurposing your life. And then later on in the show, we have tidbits and whole body wellness for families. We're going to look at family focus on today. So look forward to a show. And if you have any questions at the end of the show, just please go to wrc-houston.com and we'll look for your comments.
Right here.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. We have with us our own Dr. Floyd Atkins with the Center for Wellness and Healing. And today we're going to follow up with the topic a little bit different. So we're not going to talk directly about anything, situation. What we're going to talk about is life and what in life can bring healing and help us look at our life. The title today that Dr. Atkins is bringing forth is called Repurposing. And so I would like to welcome you, Dr. Atkins, welcome you to our show this morning to Mending Threads. How has your week been?
Good day. I'm happy to be here. It has been a good week, just really being concerned and considerate about taking care of our health and, really being proactive and protective of ourselves and protective of other people. I think that's something we have to do. That's why I think this repurposing our life is so important, that we can do more introspection. This is a time for doing introspection just based on our circumstances. So we have to go with the flow of the universe. And if it says that these are the things we want to do, so we want to talk about those things today and share that with everybody else.
I thought maybe we could can kind of unfold the whole idea of repurposing and what that would really mean, what that really means, the topic. Can we look at some different ways so people could draw in from their experiences what repurposing would mean for them?
Yes, we can do that. Let me share some information with you here. I want to share a screen here, a slide I kind of put up here. I don't know if you can see me yet. I'm going to hit my screen share and see if we can get this slide up.
Mm-hmm.
Can you, okay, Firefox. Can you see my page now?
No, I can't see your page now.
Okay. One of the things, when it comes to repurposing your life, I'm going to try to share again. I'm going to really talk about, number one, what everybody have to understand. They have to have a purpose in life. We go through life and we make decisions about what we're going to do or what we're not going to do. But most people go through life with no real purpose. And you have to find your purpose. That's really the first step when it comes to looking at how we live and what we do, because it gives us direction, it gives us goal. And so I really advocate for everybody to identify what your purpose is. I know when people want to know what goals they have in life, when you want to set goals or when you want to have a career path, again, identifying what that path is, identifying what your ultimate goal in life, identifying where you want to go, because if you don't have a goal to get a certain place, you will never get anywhere. So I always advocate doing that. And then for people who may have identified their goal, number two thing is to work on fulfilling that goal. So you want to know, what does it take for me to fulfill the goal in life? Or have I fulfilled it? And so if you fulfilled it, all of these steps might not be for you, but I'm sure it's one of these steps you can really take advantage of. Mm-hmm. I know you share those kind of things with a lot of your patients also.
I know one of the things that I find is that they tell me that I just don't know the real meaning of life. I don't know why I'm here in my existence. And so sometimes we have to start off with them finding out what purpose feels like, or kind of imagining what it could be and what fills the emptiness. So, there is trying to think of, oh, you know who it was? It was Deepak Chopra. And I
Uh-huh.
really like some of the things that he said. And he said that that you know that you're on your way when you're beginning to recognize your deep burning desire for life, your deep burning desire for things, your passion creating that. And he said that deep burning desire tends to dictate or have something to do with what your deeds are. And then
Yeah.
what your deeds are, so is your destiny. And
Yeah.
so people are complaining about their destiny, but they have not really looked at or examine or try to find what's inside of the deep burning desire.
Yeah.
So, oh yes, I can see what you have now. I'm going to see if I can click on that, Dr. Atkins.
Yeah, bring that up because we want to talk about this particular slide because I think it'd be very helpful. And I kind of try to abbreviate it so we
Oh,
can get to the bottom.
I'm truly trying to click on it. Look at this. Well,
Yes.
well, maybe I have to click on this first.
Oh, there you go.
There we go.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when we want to talk about repurposing our life, I kind of broke it down into 5 steps. It's so many more steps, but if we start with these major things, these are areas we want to do. And I want you to share this because you have a lot of insight. The number one thing before we do anything, people think about diet and nutrition, they think about setting goals. But the number one thing is we live in a life where we are, right where we are under stress. We deal with so
Mhm.
much stress in our life. And the first step I call is to address your stress. And I like to break it down even further, say undress your stress. That means you got to take it
Yeah.
off. You got to take the stress off because we
Mhm.
have to realize that a lot of, stress is one of the most powerful immunosuppressive emotions conditions there are, when it comes to grief, when it comes to sadness, when it comes to depression, when it comes to anger, all of those emotions that tend to suppress our immune system. So even through this time we're going through now in the world or in the United States or really all over the world, those areas of people are under chronic stress. They're worried about tomorrow. They're worried about a virus. They're worried about food. They're worried about a job. They're worried about finances. They're worried about relationships. All of these things create stress. So these things are constantly suppressing our immune system. So it's almost inevitable that when we look at society, we see why people are more susceptible to getting viruses or getting sick. And so
Mhm.
it's like a vicious cycle. It goes around. So the more you're stressed about it, the more likely you are to get sick and have a problem. So we have to do things to turn those things around. So we really want to address that stress. Well, we'll undress it. Let's use that word. Undress your stress. So you got to be
Undress
proactive. You got to do
stress.
something. Number two.
One of the things that I like what you're saying about undressing the stress is
Mm-hmm.
we need to put a note there. And
Yeah.
if we could just look at some ways that a person could undress the stress, because you said something real critical about being present in the moment
Yes.
is the very first stage is to recognize your stress. Some people do not even recognize the stress.
That's
You
true.
see that they're stressed. They just feel that I'm hyper, or this morning we were talking about being discombobulated this morning. But what it is that we were trying to do two things at one time, or trying to perceive two things at one time, you see.
Right. Right. Um, and number two, wait a minute, I took my screen down. But number two is called
Oh,
living by.
did I take
You
you
still
took
can
it
see it?
down?
Yeah, I think it's down. But number two is
Yeah,
living by intention.
yes.
And what that really addresses is that we want to be proactive about what we do. We don't want to once you find your purpose and know what you want to do in life, you have to be proactive. That means you can't say I'm going to do it tomorrow or postpone it or procrastinate like we normally do. You want to really be proactive. So putting together a plan, deciding what that plan is, and moving forward in it. And I know you give your clients a lot of information when it comes to doing that also.
I give them lists of, for example, I have them to explore how can you pretend you're taking a trip, for example, and where
Hmm.
are you trying to go, and what is it that would help you get there. And if you don't know, how would you find out? And give them steps as to how seek information, to ask themselves questions. And then once you find out, some people will say, well, I'll do it tomorrow. I have a friend that'll say, I'll do it tomorrow. And invariably, 50% of the things never get done. And I'm saying do it now. And the word wait can be your enemy sometime. If you just keep waiting and waiting and waiting,
Yeah.
it is that you're postponing for some reason. And so you're killing your intention, but you're not looking at what makes you want to wait. So we then try to look at interventions to take away the fear of
Yeah.
searching. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so, and so I want the audience to understand that that's important. Once you, find out, what you need to do, and it comes down to taking one step at a time. So once you identify that, you don't want to wait, but take baby steps. Or like I always tell people, I always use a scenario of how do you eat an elephant? You know how to eat
Yes.
an elephant?
Yes.
You eat an elephant one bite at a
One
time.
bite at a time. One bite at a time. But I know about that.
Right. So we want to really focus on doing those kind of things. And the next one is called guard your body. And guard your body means that once you have identified the stresses and you start working on those, and that's the first thing, because a lot of times people want to start changing their diet and changing their lifestyle, which is important. But guarding your body means to deal with the diet and nutrition. Um, that means when because what we eat can affect our emotional, mental, and physical health. So we have to really focus on the diet. I see a lot of shows on TV right now, especially with people who are at home. And they're talking about, they're doing shows about how people are cooking more, how people are doing more
Yeah.
food preparation. Since the
Yeah.
restaurants are closed and you can't go out and just order, sit down and eat, people have to stay at home and prepare food. And people are learning how to cook and how to prepare food, and they're realizing they have time to prepare salads and vegetables and eat a little bit more. So that's a good thing. So you really want to address those conditions, and then even going further, focusing on nutrition. That means not only just eating a healthier food, but you want to have a healthy diet, have a protocol. Like if you want to get up in the mornings, we've always talked about having smoothies in the morning as a part of our nutrition, and then having salads during the day and cutting down our meat, getting exercise. All of these things are just, again, focusing on health, because when we focus on our body, that's a good way to repurpose your life. We felt we never had time to do it. We never have time to go to the gym. We never have time to go for a walk. We never have time to prepare food. Now we have time. So now is
That's
the time
right.
to do that. So
And then reevaluating what you do with your time is part
yeah,
of what we're speaking about, the body and intention. Yes.
yes.
Mhm.
And number four is help someone else. And I know you could really address that, but what I find out, and what, through research is well documented, that when we do things for others, that when you find someone who you can help support in some way, it really is really a benefit for you. So when you do that, it's a way of releasing endorphins. It's a way of changing your overall mood and health, and not focusing on what your problems are and what your conditions are, but you help someone else, and that will help you. And I know you have something to say about that.
I know, because I think that it seems to help formulate your purpose in life. It lets you see that there are other things more meaningful than your immediate needs. And that when you can satisfy thing that you believe in, or who you are, and extend that to other people. And I want to say this in a balanced manner, because
Yeah,
sometimes we can overcare for someone, or not. If we do not have boundaries as to how we handle that, that can become more stressful. So sometime we're going to talk about the sandwich people, which we are the sandwich people, because we have our parents to take care of, we have our grandkids and our children, and so we have all of these things, as well as our jobs and other things in the community. So we
uh,
need to, sometime in the future, we're going to look at that. But yes, you're right. Help someone else. It gives you a lighter feeling. And the thing about it is that you see a connection between you and things around you, everything around you. Then you begin to see the connection.
now,
Hmm.
now, when you say the sandwich people, elaborate on this on the sandwich people
On
a
the
little bit.
sandwich people, well,
Yeah.
I didn't mean in terms of, but we are also the sandwich people. They used to call it both ways,
Uh-huh.
because we were moving so fast. We did nothing but eat sandwiches. We ate too much bread. But
Yeah.
I haven't. But what I was really referring to was that we are of the age of the generation where we're responsible for caregiving to our parents as
Uh-huh.
well as caregiver to our children and grandkids, because we're
Yeah.
helping our children and we're also helping their children. So we're that generation that's carrying a lot of burden and a lot of stress. So no longer when we have to really practice on thinking in the moment and whatever, as well as how do you do that simultaneously when you're thinking ahead for three other groups of people. You know, you got your
Right.
parents, you got your children, and your grandkids that you're thinking ahead. You're planning for them as well as planning for yourself. You know, whether you're speaking finance, emotionally, purpose. So when you're repurposing your life and what you're speaking about, I think we have to take all of that into consideration. So I was throwing it out to really look at what would that look like for our audience. What would that look like in terms of looking at the stress, because you're having to look at the stress for all these different people, and not only their needs for food, their needs for the COVID, their needs for whatever, they're also looking at you. And
Yes.
so the setting of boundaries and the pacing of time to do that, and recognizing that you don't have to solve all of the problems. What you have to do is to lay the foundation for others to actually begin to see that. And sometimes
Yeah.
I think we try to solve the problems, and that's what creates more of the problems because they're becoming more dependent. And we
Mhm.
had another discussion about families. We're going to have somebody really talking about this coming on in a few minutes. Because what we do, we're caregiving for the families, all these people, but we're creating dependency, which means that it's going to create more stress for us. So the
Yeah.
more we take care of our children and they're not taking care of their children, the more stress that we are creating for ourselves and the inability to really help them become dependent, independent. So we're codependent. We're maintaining that um, that dependence there. So that then creates more stress for us. And so it's a whole meaning to that for this generation, this sandwich generation. It's a meaning for that because of a lot of other things that create mental health difficulties and
Yes.
health problems. hmm hmm
Yes.
So I think the food thing, the planning of the meals, I think when we'll be looking at families shortly, I wanted to ask you a question to
Mhm.
see when you're working with people, do you actually, when they come to you, do you actually do the diet with them to reduce the stress? So if a grandparent came to you and they said, I'm really stressed, and you're working with them nutritionally or whatever, how do you know what they need? How do you know what they need to really heal themselves?
Well, it just begins, first of all, with taking that inventory. And what that means when you take an inventory, I want to know what they're eating every day. I actually make a diet, a food diary of what you eat morning, noon, and night, what you drink, because I can tell when a person's under stress because they have what we call a stress diet, which is a high carb diet. When people are under stress, their cortisol levels are high, they're anxious, they're burning energy, their metabolic rate is up. They're going to gravitate to eating carbohydrates. They gravitate to eating sugars and sweets, breads. Those are the things, chips, things you eat the most. Those are high calorie foods that give you instant energy, but they give you a lot of highs and lows. And in lay community we call it comfort foods, but really it's a food that tries to handle stress real because you're constantly burning calories that way. But you can't live on that diet for a long time because eventually you get to a point where you will crash. You're either going to contribute to weight gain. It contributes to the kind of depressive attitudes or depressive moods, because you have the highs and lows again. You eat a lot of calories. It's like drinking coffee, and then once the coffee comes off, the caffeine comes off, you drop down, and you have to have some snacks or have candy bars or have something sweet again to bring you back up, donuts and coffee. And people go through that same cycle all day long. So that's a good indicator that there's stress going on. So if we can change that diet, you want to eat a diet more consistent with eating proteins or eating foods that don't raise your blood sugar so rapidly. So therefore, you don't have a big fall off after the end of that. So
So the first thing for undressing ourselves for stress would be to pay attention to, in the moment, what we're craving during the day or what we want to eat, and
right.
try to repurpose in a way of moving toward proteins and moving toward fruits and things like that.
Yeah, proteins and vegetables. And I always say, another part of it, the big issue with most people is, how do I, have these cravings? I just want bread every day, or I want sweets every day. Well, that's where we talk about doing a detox or doing cleansing, doing what I call mini fast, where you maybe fast for where you're doing a juice fast, or you're doing maybe just eating some fruits, a fruitarian type fast where you eat some low glycemic fruits, where you really cut out those main things to really break the addiction from the carbs. So fasting, doing cleansing, whether it's a green drink cleansing, eating a raw diet for 2 to 3 weeks or 4 weeks, 70, 80% raw, cutting out animal products, cutting out the sugars and starches, and then do that for a while. And once you break that fast, it makes it much easier for you. You tend to be a calmer, more settled person. So that's a big factor during the detox and cleansing.
So we could
And
then
then,
say, we could say your intention part would be that the person would actually develop an action plan around intention of being well, intention of actually healing themselves and connecting themselves to what they eat and what they do every day and on purpose.
exactly. That's definitely the intention part when it comes to doing that. And I think the fifth topic I want to get to, we talked about four things, but the fifth thing was having that attitude of gratitude. I want
Yeah,
to bring that in. I don't want to forget that, because although you can work on your body when it comes to addressing your own stress, because you can't help anybody else until you help yourself. You have to put your own oxygen mask on first, and then you have to take care of your body so you'll be able to endure it through to the end. So you want to make sure you're eating right, you're drinking right, you're putting the right, not putting chemicals on your body and get the chemicals out of your life, and then again, helping other people, helping someone else, that gives you to take the focus off of yourself. So I don't have to worry about the virus. I worry about what is it one person in my life, whether it's a parent, a grandparent, cousin, sister, brother, even somebody I don't even know, a neighbor, that I can do to help them. And finally, having an attitude of gratitude. And that's the overall picture. That attitude of gratitude says to me that no matter what my circumstance is today, I should be grateful for what it is. Look at
yeah,
the glass half full rather than the glass half empty. Look
yes,
at what I have rather than what I don't have, and be thankful for those things. And so when you can be thankful for those small things, it makes everything else gets so much smaller. And and
mm-hmm.
and you emphasize the small things that you have. That I had food to eat today. It wasn't a problem for me. I still have a roof over my head. I may not have money in the bank, but my health is strong. I'm able to breathe. I get up this morning. I can take a deep breath, and I can
Yes.
look at the sunshine and just be thankful.
You
So
even heard the birds quirking this morning out the
yes,
window. Yes, just the pleasure of it. Yes,
yeah.
enjoying that. Well,
So
what the last thing that going, I was going to say how you incorporate the gratitude with the
mhm.
stress in your practice and everything. Mm-hmm.
um, how I incorporate the gratitude. Oh, just by getting people to understand that you know even if you're doing something as simple as giving people lab work, and you're looking at the lab tests, you look at the lab results when you draw blood, and they see, well, my cholesterol is high, and it seems like I got to really work on that, or my blood sugar is elevated. But then you have to look at the good things also. When you have a high cholesterol or a high blood sugar, those are things you can control. But I tell them, but look at your kidney function. Your kidney function is doing well. I said, look
Yeah.
at your inflammation. Your inflammation is down. So those are the things that, number one, we have control over, but look at the positive things and know that you have a list of the other things you can work on. You can always work on the things that are a little bit out of balance, but everything is all about balance. So, identify those things that you need to work on, and we do them. So when people can be grateful about, I didn't get that major diagnosis. I came in the office fearful of what you're going to tell me.
Yes.
Always look at the positive, and that reassures people.
How to do that. Okay,
Yeah.
then. Okay, then. So you know what, Dr. Atkins, I
Yeah.
could always talk to you. We could just talk all day long. It's so much. So you know what? I'm gonna get a chance to follow up with you. I hope this morning after the show, so we
Yes.
can talk about some exciting things that we want to do. And we've gotten several calls from the community that maybe we could do a question and answer for the community.
I
And
see.
and so I got a lot of people to do that. So we're going to follow up with that. Okay.
Okay. Well, and I'm gonna make sure I get the slide over to you so you can share it to everybody else and make them be a benefit to their lives.
I will. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tell everybody I said hello.
I sure will. You have a wonderful day.
Okay then. Bye-bye.
You want to introduce Dr. Sam?
Okay. Am I going to click on it?
No, go ahead. You good? Go ahead. Just
Oh.
go ahead and introduce Dr. Sam.
Okay, we have with us our next guest, Dr. Janice Sanders, our registered nurse. And I'm so glad that she's able to join us this morning. And we're doing our little distancing situation here. Yeah, stretch it out.
Come in just a little bit.
Okay, then.
There you go.
Okay, very good, very good. And I want to say this is my sister in the spirit. This is a sister, everybody, that we have gone through. We have gone through parent stress. We've gone through children's stress. We've gone through life together. Death. We've gone through learning together. And anything that you can name, we have experienced it together. And thank God, as they say, that we're still here with you. Okay, we're able to function. But I want to talk about something today. We had as our earlier guest, Dr. Atkins, Dr. Floyd Atkins, and we sort of broached some of the topics of stress and intention and how this would affect life and our families. And I want to follow up with Dr. Janice Sanders and looking at, if we could look at families. I want to see how this relates to mental health and families. And this topic, we have so many people. I have people walking into to our session crying. They just can't understand why. They wanted to take their children somewhere else because they can't handle the stress. Of course, sometimes, and so there's some of them are grandparents rearing their. I've been there, done that. Grandparents rearing their grandchildren. But this is the thing that's going on is we have so many young people who are cutting their wrists now, who are speaking of suicide. Yes. The parents, the hair is falling out because they have assumed. I want to talk about this today and see if you can help bring some light to this situation. So I know that we've been talking about, and we're going to be doing some upcoming programs on this. What have you found to address some of these situations? What have you thought about in that area of mental health in children
and of course
families?
It's not just them. We're experiencing these things too. Last month we talked about resilience under fire, how we can bounce back, but we have to bounce back with a plan. But we're still under fire. And when I say under fire, I mean the uncertainty of this whole crisis situation and the pandemic. It's not just the pandemic now.
No,
it's other situations.
Right.
And so what I thought about talking about today was parenting during the pandemic or any crisis.
Really. In the crisis, during traumatic situations. That's right.
And we have to learn how to develop strategies to help us work through the crisis situations. In our mental health first aid newsletter this month, I believe, it said we need to realize it's okay not to be okay sometimes. And this is how we learn and develop coping mechanisms to help us deal with our mental health symptoms. And when I say mental health, I mean like overwhelming feelings or anxiety and just dealing with our stress. That these are things that may not need medication, but you just need to talk to somebody about it to help you develop strategies to help you cope. We're so bombarded with so much uncertainty that sometimes our brain gets overwhelmed that we can't even think through.
Did you know that I read something? Did you know that the hippocampus of the brain begins to restrict and that the amygdala of the emotions begin to shrivel?
Yes.
And you feel, and people want to know, why do they feel that they're at an end and they don't know what it is? And what it is they can't remember things and they can't move it. So it's something. What I want to say when speaking about it is something real. It's real. Going on. It's real. You see.
And so that's funny you should mention that, because as I was looking at this subject, parenting through the pandemic and how you deal with your kids and your grandkids, because now you're in this space. It looked like it was a big space, but now you're around each other 24/7. Space
that's
not
right.
that
That's
big.
right. Now you really need 3,000 and some square feet. But I do know the thing is, so people start drawing lines in the floor. Don't come over here.
Right. I need my solo time. You tell them you don't want to say go to timeout. You just say you need your solo time. So get your mad box, and in a mad box, and I'm skipping ahead, but you'll have, like, for them, their Play-Doh, their journal book, according to the age, a journaling book, a crossword puzzle book, the little ones, like my little 4-year-old grandson, his these little things you put together and
connect.
build
I know what you're talking about.
with.
Taco toys.
Something like that. Okay, get your mad box and take your solo time over there, and then in about 20 minutes it takes the brain to reset. Then you come on back, and we should be okay. You know, like he told me. I think this was Father's Day. Everything was in an uproar. He said, when you feel yourself get out of control, take a deep breath and count to 4. I looked at him because he ain't before himself. He talking about 1, 2, 3, 4.
That's true.
Now you're in control. You've been looking at too much TV.
Right. Well, it's a good thing. That's good. That's good. That's good.
I just looked at him. He said, take a deep breath. I said,
let them practice. That's right.
He said, now count to 4.
See, I thought that was so good. That's good. So I think we have to do a lot of that. And sometimes parents feel so out of control. They think they have to keep doing and keep doing. And I tell them, if you need to go to the restroom and close the door, how to prepare your children and playing their games or their activities to give you a few minutes to go to the restroom and lock the door, so that it's something about locking the door that gives you the feeling of solitude and of revamping those 4 minutes or those 10 minutes that you need.
Right.
You know, the commercial where the lady is on, she's in the restroom, sitting on the floor, and the commercial say you gave them your bathtub, and you see the bathtub filled with the toilet. Don't give them your cookies. So the thing is, the only solitude that she has, and that's really a good coping, is she locked the door. and she sat on the floor and ate her cookie.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you have to do that to take now Dr. Atkins, he's not on the show right now, so he wouldn't want to say eat the cookie. he would probably say eat a piece of fruit or something, which is the truth, or drink your smoothie. And so we're going to try to follow what Dr. Atkins said. We're not going to follow the commercial. So I think so, and I think we're having to look at this because did you see the statistics in terms of the family violence that's increasing, the death, the abuse? And I know we're doing some battery intervention programs in the office, and that I want you to really start participating in some of them, because we have to look at the health of that with them. But we have so many people signing up for the battery intervention program because they had not planned on such a limited space and dealing on, and they are what? Like we were talking about repurposing, they have to reorganize your mental space.
That's right.
Your mental space is what it is. Your psychological space is what you were speaking about just then.
And like when we go back to developing strategies, we want to remember first we have to take care of ourselves.
That's right.
We have to take care of ourselves and know where we are in this continuum. You know, like when they tell you on the plane, if something goes wrong, you put your oxygen mask on first, and then take care of someone else, or if you have a child traveling with you, take care of them, or the person next to you. Take care of yourself. And when we develop these strategies, we want to remember some simple things. When you have feelings of being overwhelmed, express your feelings to someone. We have, like you all have the telemedicine set up, and you do the counseling by telemedicine over the phone, or call a friend that you can talk to, you know. So express yourself, set your boundaries. That's what my twin grandson told me. You overstepping your boundaries. I started to say, you overstepping yours.
Right, yes, you're overstepping your boundaries. That's right.
So, you know, we
you do have to know what those boundaries are. You have to know when you say something, how it's going to affect. You have to ask. Right. And then you have to learn how to observe how far you can go before it's affecting you. And how I love that Dr. Atkins was talking about undressing the stress. So you have to really know what it is that stresses you out. Sometimes we think this other person is stressing us out, or being in this line in this car behind another car is stressing us out, but it's really something else that's stressing us out before we left home.
That's right.
You see,
when you bring that up, it's really something else. It's just like you see the iceberg in the ocean, like with the Titanic. They saw the big iceberg. They called themselves going around it, but didn't know the iceberg had a whole nother bottom.
That's right.
And ran into that part. You saw that big part at the top, but you didn't see that big part at the bottom. And so we really, when we look at the iceberg, when we look at the kids, we're looking at something visual right there. And we're thinking, this is an 11-year-old acting like a 4-year-old. Well, at that time, he's stressed out. So you set your strategies to help them cope at the developmental level that they're exhibiting at that time. I'm melting down like a 4-year-old because I've lost control. I can't have my way. I have to share. I don't want to share. I've been in your face 24/7. So I'm acting like a little kid. Right. Like a little,
well, now I want you to know some adults are like that. So some adults are like that. And so I think you're right. It just depends on the individual. It's the person. And one of the things that we have to think about when we do that is what is the goal, helping our children know as well as ourselves. What is the goal of what I'm saying and expressing at this time? And finding a way to answer the goal or to satisfy the goal. You see, so sometimes we're over there with that person, with the kid yelling, but what is it? I just need some quietness.
Right.
So if I just need some quietness or
Mhm.
I need some order.
Mhm.
So, and some people let their children and stuff. I had a lady yesterday and she was crying and the children they had toys all over the floor and the I think something in the oven was running over and it was just too much for her. So one of the things, I had to say, well, wait a minute, what's the problem? And then she started I said, well, go turn the oven off. Just turn it off. And then look at your children and stop them right now. Have them to stop in the moment and tell them that you need their help. Okay. And as soon as she did that, then we purposed them to pick up the toys and put them in it. So the thing was to take one step at a time. And anything, the goal is anything that's a crisis to really take care of the crisis things first.
Right.
So that the food's not boiling and then come back to what you have to do and to do it in anything in life. So sometimes we just need golden rules.
Right.
So that when we're in crisis, we know what to do. See.
Yeah. Because it's not time to go through all the methods that we've learned.
On the line.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
You got to handle that
situation at that time.
That lady you talking about might have been me from Saturday night. I had the 3 grandboys. They were still up at 12 o'clock midnight. One was the 11-year-old was playing the game on a video. Well, the little one wanted to watch movie on Netflix. Now I told all of them to go to bed, but then the middle one, he eats. Oh, when they get the fuss, he just have to find something to eat. So I had gone upstairs to just, like you said, I closed the bathroom door to just have some me time. Next thing I hear the little one is knocking on the door. I said, "What is it, baby?" The middle one, the little one, the 4-year-old said the 8-year-old had set the microwave on fire. I said, "What?" He said, "And the smoke is coming up the stairs."
Oh my God.
I said, "What happened? Don't he know how to cook a waffle?" I said, "What?" He didn't put the waffle in the toaster. He put the waffle in the microwave and put it on 5 minutes.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Okay, so I'm a retired nurse. My husband is a retired fireman, so you know what that meant. We had to go through how you exit. You couldn't see nothing. He told them, hit the floor, crawl to the door.
Oh, he was teaching them what to do.
It was that bad.
Oh, it was that bad?
When I opened the bathroom door, I couldn't see nothing. And we coughing in there. I said, I used some.
And you know what I'm saying though. But now you're bringing up something, and that made me think. You know how you see children. So no matter how you train your children, they're going to do things that you would never expect.
Right.
All against the rules and whatever, because they're learning. And they're going to keep exploring, and then we do have to help them with the boundaries of exploring. But they're going to do things out of that.
Right.
So this young baby, speaking of that, something was going on, and there was smoke in their house. And this baby was 2 years old, 2 years of age, and was out in the middle of the street, walking down the street.
My God.
And so I think CPS they've picked up, and they were charging the mom and everything. And she was saying, they would say, "Where were you?"
Yeah.
She said, "I was in the bathroom trying to take 10 minutes rest."
Yeah.
And he figured out how to get out.
Wow.
And so thank God that they didn't take the child from her, because that's a normal situation for people who are under a lot of stress. Having to work, take care of a lot of things, and worried about bills and children. So I could see how that could happen, even though you train them that you're supposed to be in the bed. So I know they had a lot of consequences
and repercussions. And so therefore the middle one that was doing all that cooking, he said, "Nana, I guess I'll have to go home, huh?" He said, "I can't stand the smoke." And so the grandpa Grandpa said, "You created it. You gonna help me clear this house out. I'm gonna
That's
show
right.
you,
Open this
you
room.
know, as the fireman and everything." And he said, "Well, Dada, I'm gonna have to step outside because see, I have asthma."
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. He already knows how to tap out, right? Oh my goodness.
He tapped out right.
See.
And so, so the oldest one, he understood, but it was comical, but it was dangerous. Everything was just, it was crazy. You know, I just said,
and those are normal. Those are normal family circumstances,
right? And so that's why I kind of focused in on this parenting during the pandemic and other crises,
things that could happen,
right? Because like you were talking about the brain, that we need to teach them. You know, it's two parts of thinking. You have that executive part, that thought that makes executive decisions, and you know, and then you have that caveman thinking.
That's right.
You know, that's the fight, flight, or freeze up.
Right. That's right.
And so we have to help them to that caveman mentality is emotional. It's a lot of times we fly off the handle, and we say stuff without thinking about the consequences, and we do stuff without thinking about the consequences. So during this time, it's a lot to learn.
It is. It's helping us to know what's really important.
Right.
Like we were saying earlier, that we need to come back home, and we need to really restructure our home and everything. And you know what's really funny, and I know we have a very little time left, but you know what's really funny, and it's unusual, you hadn't thought about it, is that I think we're going to move backwards in terms of recognizing what we used to do is what we probably need to continue to focus on. So when we can't go into the store, and now as we get older, people are now delivering food to you. Do you remember when the vegetable man used to come down your street, and the milk people used to come? I think we're going to find that that's going to be the best thing to do, and to bring neighborhoods back together, is that these people and fewer people coming together at one time to receive what they need, is to bring up the person used to bring clothes to you. And so you would come to the neighborhood and go down the street, and people would actually be able to access the services and the needs that they have. I think we're going to healthcare. I think we're going to begin to move back to that, and we're going to see that doctors are going to need to be going to areas and neighborhoods and churches and schools like the way that they used to.
And like I was, we talked about developing strategies. We want to kind of, move around, help the blood circulate, do our breathing. Like the little one was telling me, smell the rose. I said, I swear he's taking Psychology 101. He said, inhale, smell the rose. Now blow out the birthday candle.
Yes,
do it again.
Good. That's right. And we need to do that.
Yeah.
We need to do a lot of that. So let's see if we could come up with a routine that families could use to address that. Okay, let's incorporate the breathing.
Okay.
So in the mornings, one of the things that I have written down, some things that I give to parents, but I want to add some stuff in that you have, is when they get up in the morning, that they actually say something inspiring to their children, that they say something inspiring to themselves.
They have their mantra.
That's right. And then that they take a breath in, and then just what Dr. Atkins was saying, that they show what they're appreciative of.
Yes.
Okay. And then listen to your surroundings. Teach your children to listen to the surroundings, and then begin to restructure yourself during the day. I tell them at night to put their book bags by the door or on their desk, to have your meals laid out that you're going to prepare, decrease the stress with your clothes item the night before. And so when you go to the restroom, you clean the area that you've used, taking care of someone else, caring about the person that's coming behind, disinfecting, that area. I have everything there so you can do that. And then you know you have to have a little something in you. So you go and give me, well, let's talk through some things that we could leave the audience with that would help mental health with their families.
Well, what I wanted to say was it's just like a baby or an infant when they first roll over. That was an accident that they rolled over because you don't want to roll out the bed, but then with purpose and control, they learn how to roll over and use their arms. And so and then we see them. Look at that baby just rolled over like that, like. And so this is what we're learning. We're learning how to control our actions.
That's right.
So we want to eat healthy, and like Dr. Atkins said, stop doing all the high carbs and eating chips and all of that. Let's try to have healthy snacks. Take care of our body, because you're in the house, you think you haven't worked up a sweat or nothing, but still do your daily hygiene, daily activities of daily living. That's washing your face, brush your teeth, and with the kids, not just jumping on your electronics first thing in the morning,
right?
And move around, stretch, exercise, your relaxation techniques, your breathing, smell the rose, blow out the candle, be kind to yourself, and don't just beat yourself up, about if something didn't go like the microwave. I didn't make it a big issue because everybody at first put
something.
Now they, microwave aluminum and you see all the sparks, or you didn't know this was in there, stuff, or overheated something. And so we learned from it. And I thank God it wasn't a big deal. It's just smoke. We all just smelled like burnt toast for 2 days, and then stay connected with family members, call somebody, and then limit the consumption of social media about the COVID. Now we do have to stay up to date, but just kind of limit the information that you're receiving, every day, because it can become overwhelming, especially with all the violence that's going on and Black Lives Matter, stuff like that. And so this is my suggestion.
Okay. And then one thing I just want to add is to look at how we're thinking about everything, that our perceptions and the way our thinking, if we believe in something higher than ourselves, and if we believe in a purpose more than what our desires are, and begin to, every time we think of something, that we begin to think of what is it that's desired by the higher being or higher power. I don't care whether you believe in the sun, the rain, the air, however you name it, it is bigger than you. And then what you do is you begin to follow what you think it is asking you to do, and caring for yourself and other people. So I want to thank you. We could talk
all day.
I know we
about
can talk
this new norm.
This new norm. But I hope we have given some helpful hints to parents. And I want you as parents to please call in to our office at 281-407-3190. And then we'll give you the website and information. It should be on the screen, which is wrc-houston.com. Because I want to hear what you have to say, and we want to be of help to you, and you need to help us be more on target. Okay? And I'll look forward to hearing from you. Thank you so much for being here today. And I hate we had problems with our little computers and stuff, but I'll look forward to seeing you 3 weeks from now.
All right.
Okay then. Thank you now.
Okay.
I want to thank Dr. Janice Sanders. Actually, it's Dr. Janice Sanders. She's also our registered nurse, for giving us a real thorough understanding and some tidbits that people could actually work with their children, their family, and heal stressful situations. And we also had with us, and I want to thank him, Dr. Floyd Atkins from the Center for Wellness and Healing. We talked about repurposing, and I hope we're able to use all of the ideas that we had today. But please, if you have any questions or comments, go to our website, wrc-houston.com. And also, you could push the donate button. And while you're there, that would actually support the purchase of blood pressure machines for our seniors, for those persons who have diabetes and high blood pressure. We're needing blood pressure machines so that they could have that. Thank you. Thank you for being with us today. It is not the circumstances that we meet. It is the manner in which we respond that determines health, happiness, and success. And again, thank you.